Hey everybody, it's Irene with BrainStormAcres. And in a couple of earlier videos, I have mentioned hot and sour soup. And I've had several people ask me if I could show how I make it. So here we go. Hot and sour soup has got to be one of the easiest soups I make at any time of the year. Basic concept is some liquids, a couple of solids, and poof, you've got soup. So we start with a pot, a decent sized one. This is like a 16 cups. We need 2 tablespoons of cornstarch mixed with 1 tablespoon of water and stir it until it's all well mixed, no lumps. And set it aside. I've got a container of chicken broth. This happens to be our homemade stuff. If you don't want chicken broth, you could use some sort of veggie broth. But it's better if it's made with chicken broth. And in case you're wondering what that blob was at the bottom, that is the gelatin because it's homemade chicken broth. So, chicken broth and water, and I'll give you the measurements in the notes. Medium heat. Now, while this is heating up, get yourself some tofu. This is soft. This happens to be silken. It was what was available. I do recommend if you're going to use tofu that you get something that says that it is not GMO. 80% of American soybeans are GMO. So if you want to be sure that you are not getting GMO soybeans and therefore GMO tofu, you need to either get organic or something that at least says it's not GMO. And this says it's not GMO. So I've got about 8 ounces and I've cut it up into little pieces, about 1/2 inch square. It's not brain surgery. You don't have to be super precise. I just kind of sliced it up. Also, get yourself some mushrooms. You can use white button mushrooms. We happen to have some wood ear mushrooms, which is a Chinese black fungus right there, that Henry found at the grocery store the other day. And I've already parboiled those because they need to be cooked a little bit before they go into the soup because you don't want to wind up overcooking the soup. Also, I've got a little jug here. This has got soy sauce, vinegar, dark soy, black pepper. And that allows me to just add the stuff easily. I also have 1 egg, which I have beaten up thoroughly. It's a whole egg. And there is just like one trick to this. The world will not end if you don't do your one trick, but it won't look as pretty. So it's always nice to have the pretty look too. If you want a little spice to the hot and sour soup, you could use chili oil. I don't happen to have any available right now, but I do have sriracha, so I will give it a quick squirt with some sriracha. You can add some scallions if you want to. You don't have to. I actually have some green onion right now. This is one of my fun things. I had an onion in the pantry that was sprouting, so I stuck it with water. It sprouted a whole bunch of roots, and I've been trimming off the tops whenever I need fresh onions. So yeah, I probably will give it some fertilizer at some point, but it seems very happy right now. Waiting for this to heat up, and of course a watched pot never boils, so this is called watching for a pot to boil. I'll raise the temperature a little bit. This is literally one of the easiest soups we make. Most of the soups we make actually require some time where it's, you know, cooking and melding the flavors together and stuff like that. And because so much of this is liquid to start with, it's like instant meld. It doesn't take any amount of time. I have sometimes not put the tofu in. I have also sometimes not had any mushrooms, although I at least usually have some dried shiitake on hand. I suspect just like everybody's family has their own apple pie or apple cake. I'm sure that not all Chinese families make their hot and sour soup the same way. Okay, come on, a little bit more. Okay, so we're going to call that boiling because it just is starting. And we're going to add the tofu and the shrooms. I did chop off the wood ears. They're kind of big and floppy, about the size of a silver dollar, so having them chopped up is a better plan than not having them chopped up. You don't want these big glompy things in your soup. Now, I would not stir this hard because I do not want to destroy my tofu, so I stir it gently, if at all. I just want the stuff mixed in there. And it says I should cook it for about 2 minutes. That's all. 2 minutes it is. And let's be frank, how often can you cook something for just 2 minutes and have it be considered ready to go on to the next step? Not very often. Bubble, bubble, toil and trouble. I could probably turn this down. I really cranked up the heat, and this is a commercial stove, so you can very easily crank up the heat very fast. I feel like I should have a timer in the background. Tick, 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 tick. We're going to make believe 2 minutes have gone by. Now I'm going to add soy sauce, vinegar, dark black soy, black pepper. As far as the black soy is, it is a definitely different kind of soy sauce than the regular stuff is. It is much darker. The vinegar I am using today is rice vinegar. You can also use apple cider vinegar or Chinese vinegar. I didn't have anything that was specifically labeled as Chinese vinegar, but this is Japanese vinegar, and it's not adulterated. Some rice vinegar has other stuff in it, and this is just plain vinegar. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to pour that in. I want to make sure I get the pepper out of there. If I'm ultra concerned about it, I simply will sprinkle more pepper in on top, but I am not ultra concerned. Stir to combine well. Then I'm going to add in the cornstarch mixture and stir continuously and turn off the heat. And if you've ever watched cornstarch, it's going to go from white, like milk, to clear when it's done. Stirring it one more time to make sure it hasn't settled out. It naturally, you get it all nice, no lumpies and everything else, and then it will settle out. That's fine, that's what your spoon is for. You stir it up again. Now the reason they want you to stir it is if you don't stir it, it's possible that this cornstarch mixture can fall to the bottom of the pot and glomp there, basically. And you do not want to glomp in the middle of your soup. So I'm just gently stirring. Now remember, I have tofu in here. If I decide to go crazy and beat the stuffings out of this stuff, I'm going to have tofu mush instead of tofu. Now I'm watching to see if it's thickening yet. It's starting to, but it hasn't really kicked in yet. The cornstarch mixture was cool because it was room temperature, which around our house at this time of year is probably about 65. So, and some of the things like the rice vinegar lives on the floor in the pantry. The soy sauce and the black soy sauce live in the refrigerator. So, yeah, they're going to naturally be cold. The water was room temperature, but again, that's, 65 degrees approximately. Now I'm confident that the cornstarch mixture is mixed throughout this at this point. It's starting to get more clear. But it should be dark brown, which it is. Let's see how thick we're getting. We're thickening, but we're not thick yet. I want this to do kind of a light roll so that it is continuing to thicken. And you can actually tell by the way the bubbles are coming up that it's gradually getting thicker. Because they're kind of they look almost lazy in comparison to bubbles that would come up through water. Now this is not going to get super thick. I have had hot and sour soup that was super gluey at restaurants, and it's not the way it's supposed to be honest. Okay, now we're going to be set up for adding the eggs. The way we're going to set up for that is first we're going to turn the heat off. Then we're going to swirl this in a circle. I'm going to drizzle the egg in. And it's cooking. And you can see it start to blossom up. Then I'm going to very gently stir it. If you stir it too quickly, and now this is all scrambled eggs on top basically. If you stir it too quickly, you'll wind up with this very gluey weird stuff. And that is all there is to it. If you want to add other things like a little bit of chili oil. If I get the chili oil container open. I actually have sriracha here. Whew, I can smell that. Add a little bit of sriracha or chili oil, doesn't matter which one. You're just giving it a little bit more spice. You can omit that if you don't want the extra spice. You can also add chopped scallions at this point. And now you dish it out and serve it. And that is all there is to it, to be honest. Let's see, let's get a bowl and do this. I love to serve this soup in these bowls because it looks so cool. And of course, because we're having Chinese soup, we'll have a Chinese spoon to go with it. One of the nice things about making your own hot and sour soup is you get to choose how spicy you want it to be, exactly what the ingredients are going to be, how vinegary. Some people like a lot more vinegar, some people like less. I recommend that you start with the recipe I've given you and just go from there. Making sure I get a bunch of the woodiers in there. And there's the spoon. And it looks pretty. There we go. Hot and sour soup. Yum. So I hope you enjoyed this soup. We love it. It's a soup that we've been eating for years. And when I found this recipe, I just had to try it. We were so thrilled to find out it's just the way we like it. But like I say, you could choose to make it hotter, more vinegary, whatever suits your personal taste. So, Gong Hei Fa Choi, Happy New Year, keep on brainstorming, and be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell because obviously we're going to be doing lots more. Chinese New Year's is not over yet. We still have several days. And I have a whole stack of recipes I still want to try. So, until next time, bye.